My name is Ethan Carter. I'm 32 years old, an average guy with an average life. I work as a corporate accountant, making about $70,000 a year, enough to keep my family comfortable. My wife, Olivia, is 29, a dedicated nurse at a local hospital. We have a beautiful 4-year-old daughter, Lily, the light of my life. Our marriage had its ups and downs, but I believed we were solid. I believed in my wife. I believed in my family. Until that day. The day everything changed. I rarely get sick. Ever. But that morning, I woke up feeling like death itself. My limbs were weak, my head pounded, and every breath felt like I was inhaling fire. I think I'm staying home today, I mumbled, barely able to lift my head from the pillow. Olivia, already dressed for work, barely glanced at me. You never get sick, she said, almost skeptically. Maybe try going in? Sometimes moving around helps. I groaned. If I still feel terrible, I'll come back. All right. Just let me know if you do. Her indifference stung, but I was too exhausted to dwell on it. I dragged myself to work, hoping the nausea and dizziness would pass. But it didn't. By the time I arrived, I could barely stand. My coworker, Jake, took one look at me and swore. Dude, you're pale as hell. Go home. I resisted at first, but when I checked my temperature, 103 degrees Fahrenheit, I had no choice. Jake insisted on driving me home. I barely remember the ride, my vision hazy, my mind clouded with fever. I just wanted to collapse into bed and sleep. But the moment I stepped into my house, my world shattered. A nightmare in my own home. The first thing I heard was Lily screaming. Not a playful squeal or a tantrum. A blood-curdling scream of pure terror. Then, my eyes locked onto the scene in the kitchen. Olivia, my wife, was tied to a chair, a gag stuffed into her mouth, her eyes wide with panic. And standing in front of her, stark naked, was my father. For a moment, my fever-addled brain refused to process it. This had to be some kind of horrific hallucination. A fever dream. A mistake. Jake didn't hesitate. He lunged at my father, throwing a punch so hard it sent the older man sprawling to the floor. Call the cops. Jake shouted. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. My father? My wife? What the hell was happening? When the police arrived, everything was chaos. Olivia was sobbing, shaking uncontrollably. Lily was clutching a stuffed animal, hiding behind an officer. My father was handcuffed and hauled off like the criminal he was. At the hospital, Olivia was still trembling. I sat beside her, my hands clenched into fists, my mind replaying the nightmare over and over. Then, she spoke. And I wished she hadn't. The truth that destroyed me. Ethan, she whispered, her voice hollow. It's not what you think. I stared at her in disbelief. Not what I think. You were tied up. He was, my throat closed up. I couldn't even say it. It wasn't an attack, she said, voice distant. It was consensual. My stomach dropped. The room spun. What? My voice came out hoarse. Consensual? I've been seeing him for years. My world collapsed. She wouldn't stop talking. Like some dam had broken, and every vile, disgusting truth poured out all at once. I met him on a dating app in college, she confessed. Before I ever met you. I had no idea he was your father back then. When we got engaged, and I finally met your family, I nearly fainted. But by then, we couldn't stop. I pressed my hands against my temples, shaking my head. No. No, this isn't real. You married me. You had Lily with me. Silence. A deep, deafening silence. Then Olivia's lips parted, and she uttered the final blow that would end me. Lily isn't yours, Ethan. The room darkened. My chest tightened. My vision blurred. She's his. A life built on lies. 4 years. 4 years of rocking her to sleep. Of kissing her forehead every night. Of believing she was my baby girl. And she was never mine. I staggered to my feet, barely registering Olivia's voice calling after me. I don't remember driving to the police station. Don't remember filing the divorce papers. The only thing I remember was the DNA test. 100% match to my father. 0% match to me. I cut Olivia out of my life. She was disowned by her family. Humiliated, abandoned, forced to live alone under the scorn of everyone who knew the truth. My father disappeared, vanishing from existence as if he had never been there in the first place. And Lily, my beautiful Lily? I loved her once. More than anything. But now, every time I looked at her, all I saw was betrayal. Lies. The destruction of everything I thought I had. I stopped visiting. I stopped asking. She was innocent in all this. But I wasn't strong enough. Final words? It's been a year. I don't know where my father is. I don't care. Olivia is a ghost of the woman she once was. And I am just trying to survive. Some betrayals are so deep, so twisted, that there's no recovering from them. This was mine. If you found this story shocking, disturbing, or compelling, don't forget to like and subscribe for more true-life horror stories. I appreciate all your support. And remember, sometimes, the worst monsters aren't strangers. They're family.